All right. Hello, everybody, to the 9th Nixpkgs architecture team meeting. We have almost all members here today, and hopefully John is going to join in a minute. But yeah, we'll get started. Last time we talked about finding a better time for everybody. We now have 5 members, and created a when to meet document so everybody could fill in their times. John still has to do that, but he's going to do that in a bit, I think. But when he's here, I think he's going to join. Then let's talk about this briefly. Then next, I think let's go to the quick stand-up. Since last time, I created an RFC draft for the thing we talked about last time with the auto-called packages. I announced this in the Matrix channel, and there was a brief discussion about this. So it's basically it's the main thing. I think this has been discussed a bunch of times before. Main idea, auto-calling packages, and the main contention there is about whether it should be sharded or not. So if we should have subdirectories for prefixes, so the hello package would go in, for example, he/hello. We had some discussions about advantages and disadvantages of that. We can discuss this later a bit if we have time. Then Fred H, not sure how to pronounce that. He's not here right now, but he made a kind of experiment for what is it? For like a acyclic graph phase ordering or something like that. I'm going to try to find a link here. Topologically sorted phases. Here, that's that. Would be awesome if he could talk about this at some point a bit. But yeah, that's what I heard from him. Then we also have Alex, who's also not here. He made a kind of node modules file builder, like a source tree builder, I believe, which could maybe, I'm not sure what the intention there is in regards to that's what the intention there is in regards to Nixpkgs, whether it could be used for Nixpkgs or maybe copying the ideas. Would like to take a closer look at that. Yeah, anybody else here who has anything to update from last week? All right. I feel like someone has some microphone troubles, but would maybe like to speak. But yeah, I think let's continue a bit. So I think, I think how about discussing the RFC draft a bit, and really, I'm not sure how much sense it makes. The main thing to discuss is whether the sharding should be done. And I think the main argument against sharding is that it causes problems with GitHub, where GitHub can't display all of the files anymore. The main advantage of sharding is improved performance, but we haven't, for both of these things, we don't really have any good measurements. So Alyssa is the main mentioned performance a lot with regards to Git status. And git status would just be faster if there's no huge directories. But we don't know how much that actually is. I feel like git status wouldn't be too bad. It wouldn't have too bad for performance. And similarly, I'm not sure how many people actually use GitHub to click through directories. And so I suggested using a poll for that, and then kind of trying to see how many people rely on that, because that wouldn't work anymore with a flat hierarchy. So does it sound good? Should we do for one, measure performance of Git status? So make a prototype of this with sharding, with different types of sharding, perhaps. Make a prototype, measure performance, and then the other thing, make a poll for how many people use the GitHub UI directory digging feature. Sound good to everybody here, or any complaints about this? All right.
I had a question about that. Have people examined the prefix alternative that is listed?
Yeah, that is the sharding, just another name for it. Yep. So yeah, prefix sharding. Ultimately, I think both of these approaches solve the original issue. It's just small trade-offs. All right. Well, if that's clear, then what we could look at is the topologically sorted phases by Friedrich. He has a name, I'm sure. But anyways, yes. What?
Frederick.
Frederick. All right. Yeah, so he made a PR for Nixpkgs. Maybe I can screen share this a bit and we can take a look together. Let's do that. Where is this? Here. All right, and I think it's a fairly small PR. Let's do this. So no description.
Well, it's a small PR because it just delegates to T-sort. The actual sorting isn't like represented here. But yeah, no description. So why?
So what does it do? T-sort here, I see.
Yeah, it just delegates to T-sort. That's why the PR is so small. Which is fine, mind you. Shouldn't re-implement this kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically add phases, first, second phases to sort. There's no example in here, which is a bit hard to, it's a bit hard to grasp. Post phases.
Yeah, he just kind of creates all the links between them so that it's accepted by T-sort.
I see. So, I see. So add phase says add this phase, but this one has to happen before.
Yeah, and that's the directional dependency graph.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I guess one thing I don't like is how it ties into the existing make derivation bits. So it's not it's keeping all the legacy stuff from make derivation and just kind of strapping this topological sort on top of it. I'm not sure if that's a problem, but I feel like
there is no
something cleaner
alternative
from
right
the
now.
ground up.
Well, let's.
Oh yeah, the
First question is why? What's the? I mean, it's interesting. It's as a curiosity and as like a fun thing. What I'm not clear on, what is the problem? What's the intended problem we're trying to solve?
Either that, or what is there a tangible benefit to this? I mean, yeah, sure. As Tom said, it's cool, interesting. Why?
I guess one of the things we have been discussing is kind of replacing all the language specific builders with just a single kind of make derivation, like make derivation call, and then using phases to add additional functionality. But I can't see this. I feel like more has to be done to make that possible. So like wanting to build a Python project and a Rust project together. Could that be done with phases like this? Maybe. But then you'd have to add like another unpack phase, another patch phase, all of that.
I mean, I am working on something vaguely related, basically a Rails builder, where you have to do some Ruby, some Yarn stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff that ends up in the same closure in the end. And I was experimenting with combining some of the existing builders, so you don't have to do the whole thing separately and command it yourself. But I was basically just doing that, wrapping build yarn and bundler, and then just doing some sim linking around. Maybe some phase combination with something like this might be interesting to explore in that regard.
So reusing the existing builders and then combining those. I see. Yeah, that right. One of the complaints about that is how overriding gets really complicated if you have additional builders.
Also some limitations. Yeah. Like I built a bundler in, which is the Ruby stuff, and then I get a closure with all the Ruby stuff that links to all the gems that are in the link store. Then I do the same for the Yarn bit, which is all the TypeScript and Sass and so on. And then I get another closure. So I have two closures. I can symlink them around a bit, but it's really laborious to combine them in any other way. Like if they have to mesh a little bit, like a couple files here, a couple files there, it gets complicated really fast.
All right. So it's kind of if they're kind of self-contained each part, then it's okay. But as soon as they need to interact with each other or depend on each other, yeah. But yeah, I mean, this phase is sorting.
Jan has some input in the matrix regarding the sorting.
Okay, he mentions we have some hooks that depend on each other currently. Currently, we have to do it like this. Expects.
Yeah, that is ugly.
Oof. So that's...
Right, raise your hands how many people here actually know what that does.
Is that a bash replace?
Yeah, it's one of them fancy expansions.
Yeah, the slashes within the dollar squiggle.
Yeah, I see. So I guess it could solve issues like that.
Makes sense in that regard, yeah.
And I guess it is like a fairly small addition. Like it's nothing huge that is being changed. I mean, the main thing is these functions which get added.
Those are handy. I'm mildly worried that this might break other things that don't expect it.
I'm not sure how at the moment.
Maybe it doesn't.
Sort phases to sort. Maybe.
Because it does add itself to the set of SH that every derivation uses.
Yeah.
It might not touch the necessary bits to break a lot of other stuff. So what I'm saying is some testing will be nice.
Yeah, but all right. I think let's not discuss this any further. I think it's interesting, but probably not a huge topic for this team, since it's just kind of it's a workaround for something that doesn't work well.
Yeah, you
doesn't
might
really fix
mention
it from
that
the ground up.
we want to get rid of phases potentially, but we don't have an alternative yet, and well, people need to get stuff done, so fine.
Yeah, kind of. Well, not getting rid of them, but replacing them with something that's better. And topological sorting of phases is one of the ways of making it kind of declarative, but sorted and orderable. And the home manager uses this a lot. NixOS also has some shell scripts that get sorted according to pre and post orderings. So yeah, it's at least an interesting thought here. I think let's also quickly look at the other the thing from Amen. He made this node modules builder. Let's quickly.
Brownie points for using org mode while the readme.
Nice. Yeah, so as far as I see, this is basically just a DSL to declare a source tree or any file tree, I guess. So we have notably doesn't use nested attribute sets, just uses slash to nest things.
Fine, if you have a few, it's less fine if you need to do any transformations.
Yeah, I feel like this.
It's easier to write.
You then need you need like string processing then if you want to do some.
Yeah, which gets ugly really fast. I assume this is not meant to get any processing done on it.
Yeah. So with outpath we have. I'm not sure what this exactly means here. CLI extras. Could this be a typo here? Should these be maybe the same? Bin dear.
It looks like it's doing the string processing already.
Huh. Look path with normalized bin dear encoded as underscore dear. Okay. A lot of documentation, so that's nice. Nixpkgs could use some of that. I'm also reminded of I know that Robert has a web PR to Nixpkgs which adds source like a source tree combiner thing. On a new computer here, so I don't have my all my source extend source. Ooh.
I think you could try source combinators.
Combinators.
That's weird.
Oh, it's not an issue.
Yeah, it's a PR.
Okay, found it. Yeah, I haven't taken a close look at that, but I think he did think a lot about the kind of theory behind it and how it would work well. So yeah, kind of related to this. I feel like we should link Amen to this one as well. CMSPin. See, this does seem fairly node module specific here. Ignore subspin, bin dir, add bin cmd.
Well, it's a proof of concept, right?
Yeah. JK, sure.
So I'm just trying to work out what the goal is here. Is it just to kind of look at this interesting approach, or are we considering this for Nixpkgs, or just generally looking at, you know, something to Nix converters? Or...
I think it's mainly just seeing. So Armin made this and announced it in the Matrix channel, and to kind of see whether we could make use of an approach like this for Nixpkgs. Obviously, we don't want something like in this team. We aren't really concerned about nodes specifically. We want to have generic solutions.
Okay,
so it's really just.
I guess we're looking for things we could adopt for more general Nixpkgs stuff. Okay, cool.
Well, better builders in general are very much on topic here, and we could really use those.
Yeah. Well, and considering this, I'm not a huge fan of this this approach here. Feels very well.
The quoted attributes.
Yeah, it feels kind of off. But I would like Armin to kind of.
Yeah, well, he should be here presenting this whole time.
Yeah, it would be great if we had the people doing the things just here.
We're just guessing. Same with the topological sorting. We're just guessing here. It would be nice if the authors were here to talk to.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we briefly looked at it. It's also interesting, but nothing we can like immediately reuse. But I guess we can keep this. We have seen it now. It's in our minds at least now.
Just note it down for me to play with, see if I can make anything of it.
Yeah. Also, yes.
There's some package renaming stuff that the Dream to Nix people are doing at the moment. Renaming, you know, various different symbols. It might be good to catch up with them to see what's going on. I believe the idea is, you know, you'd have one kind of schema for different inputs, and then you could have that for, you know, you'd have something converting Go to the stream format, or Node to the stream format, or something. And there's these various kind of translators. But yeah, I haven't kept an eye on it for a long time.
Is this in the Matrix channel for Dream to Nix, or is it there an issue?
Yeah, there's a Matrix channel for Dream to Nix. I'll post it in the Matrix.
Are you talking about a specific issue?
No, I'm just talking about the project in general. It's, you know, it helps you build stuff a lot like this. @Node Nix thing seems to help you build node projects.
It sounds kind of interesting. Yeah. I mean, David, you're kind of the Dream to Nix guy. Do you know?
I'm maintaining it. So if you have any specific question, we can talk about it, sure. But I'm not.
Is there an issue you could link us to, or a PR or something of the sorts, or code as well? For
maybe
the specific thing you mentioned.
Source, there's like some like translators. There's nothing specific coming to mind, but like looking at the approach would be good. Getting some standardization.
You were mentioning naming packages, right? It's also something that we don't really have agreed upon as of now. For the Node.js stuff, for example, I did some sanitation of the name and replaced weird characters like @ with underscore underscore at underscore underscore. But now there's an issue where people say that's not done in a nice way and we could do it differently. So we haven't really converged on some solution yet.
Do you see any like direct, like, do you think this is a good approach? Well, from just what I heard now, it feels like a non-ideal approach since there are issues like these, because string replacement you just end up with other issues in the end because people like to use whatever strings they want. So do you think this is like a good idea we should take a look at, or is there?
I'm not sure.
Yes.
What is the problem that we are trying to solve?
I am not sure
I just
myself
name
here.
things somehow, and it kind of works out. I don't think it's very important how stuff is named exactly. I think the thing is for Dream to Nix, it doesn't matter so much because everything that it produces is automatically generated. So there isn't really a reuse of attributes going on. It's not like whatever Dream to Nix produces is consumed by Nixpkgs, for example. Then it probably would be really relevant how stuff is named. But right now it's just automatically generated packages.
Yeah.
I think the naming is not so important, therefore.
I think the only place where it kind of pops up is if you do need to override certain bits. So, you do the name of that package and then overrides or
Yeah, exactly.
the attribute or whatever.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, we'll run into this because different ecosystems use weird symbols, especially Node with the @ symbols. Maybe it's not a problem if you don't use attributes and you have like a list of stuff that then has a name with a value of that weird stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think this is good for now. Then it's good to have it mentioned, but it's not immediately usable for Nixpkgs, and so I think we can move on from this. We have John here now, so I'd like to take the opportunity to briefly discuss the meeting times.
Yeah.
So let me quickly. Did you fill out the when to meet already,
No,
John?
I didn't yet. Sorry. This time
we can take it like.
This time should be a good one for me in general, and I'm generally very flexible. I've just had a string of one-off things.
Yeah. So.
But I'll fill it
Well, I
out.
guess let me do like UTC because that's how we have it usually. And so actually the timer right now is like not indicated as available for most people here. This would be this time right here. Would it also work for you like earlier in the day? So like 2 hours before this?
Yeah, that's about my earliest time.
So you're West Coast or East Coast, John?
East Coast.
East Coast. All right, so this would be the earliest. Can you like reliably join it like 2 hours before this?
Yeah, I just filled it out, and yeah, the Monday and Wednesday spots I can do.
All right. Yeah, well, that sounds great then. I guess so. Let's move this meeting 2 hours earlier. Sound good? At least every current member. Yeah, Tom.
Good.
All right. No complaints there. So, let's do that. This is my tweet calendar here, but doing that right now. So instead of 3 p.m. UTC, it's going to be 1 p.m.
It might be best to edit the future one rather than the current one.
Oh, right. Yeah. Let's go here. All right.
And then on save, it'll ask if it should apply to this one or following. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that sounds good. Sending updates to all the existing guests. That's it then. All right. So that sounds great. Next week, it's going to be 2 hours earlier. All right. So at this point, I'm out of topics to talk about. We can, of course, always talk more about technical details. If there's nothing else that anybody does want to talk about, we can also conclude the meeting earlier. But now's the time. If you have something you want this team to talk about.
It's slightly relevant to what we were previously talking about, and I think I've raised it before that improving the Go building ecosystem would be quite nice. I've lost the Matrix chat now. There we go. But there's this PR about getting GoMod to Nix into Nixpkgs. I guess it would be best if we look at it at some point and maybe leave comments. Probably not give comments immediately. But I guess the general question I want to ask is, should it be mostly like status quo, or should it improve on pretty much all the existing problems? There's a couple comments that ask about existing problems with the Go builder and whether or not those bits should be fixed before it's widely used. The other bit that is important is the discussion around, if you look at the example for tools trillion, the kind of format is to use GoMod to Nix, build Go application, and then you just point present working directory to /. So there's no like source attribute for this type, which has been raised as a comment. I was interested to see what everyone else thought. My initial idea is that, yeah, that probably should be outside of the TOML and in the Nix, but yeah, I'm interested to see what other people think.
Yeah, well, for one, I could like actually review the PR and it sounds weird to have no source attribute. Yeah. I'm wondering whether it is right to look for this team to look at this. It's more of a very specific Nixpkgs issue about upstreaming something. Whereas this team is more concerned about like rewriting Nixpkgs to, for example, not require builders like this anymore to have like plugin architecture or something like that.
Sure.
But that's my opinion. I feel like most people are probably also thinking this from the team. Can I get like thumbs up, thumbs down? What do other people think?
Well, this is a kind of an annoyance as this is being used. What I'm not sure on is there a path, maybe not implemented or ready to go, or but is there a path that removes the actual annoyances, or is this simply a question of like, well, we're just pushing the annoyance around?
So specifically with this, I think it's got quite a lot of the existing annoyances. It'll have some new benefits, like you'll be able to see all of the dependencies pulled in via Nix. But yeah, some of the existing problems with the Go builder will still exist. Yeah, it might just be more of a Go maintainers within Nixpkgs question, but maybe the architecture team should take an interest in how many separate builders we get for one language. Like once this gets added, we will be up to 3 Go builders, which is probably not ideal, but yeah, just general thoughts from other people here.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I guess this goes into architecture to not have too many separate builders, even if we do want to get away from language-specific builders. It's still, that's the current status at least. Personally, I think if we introduce a new builder, the old one should get deprecated over time. And so yeah, we can ensure that there's no 3 builders in there. Have a nice and soft deprecation strategy for the older ones.
One thing that's come to mind with you mentioning the term builder is that I guess this is very similar to the node example we looked at, where the main problem is building out, the vendor folder, the node modules folder, getting the dependencies, but the actual build itself doesn't need to be very language specific. So yeah, maybe we do move away from language specific builders, but we would still need to have language specific dependency fetchers.
Just note, Adam seems to actually be online. I could ping him, see if he wants to jump on and comment on that thing.
But yeah, that's an interesting thought. So have so have language specific builders, language specific fetchers, but not builders.
Yeah, because that's typically the main problem, is getting all of the dependencies into the kind of Nix, universe.
But I mean, also every ecosystem and every language has a very specific way how stuff needs to be built, right? So I'm not quite sure how we would get rid of language-specific build logic.
And normally there's 2 steps in whatever to Nix. One is the dependency resolution, which we always depend on how the ecosystem handles dependencies. Since I happen to be working on it, I mentioned bundler for Ruby, which doesn't have any kind of checksum. So we need to do a separate step to actually go grab the actual gems and checksum them ourselves and generate a Nix file with that. Other builders do provide checksums, so we don't need a separate step. We can just tell Nix to read the log file of the system and use the data that's available there. That is usually the main step in every whatever to Nix. The other step is usually just a thin wrap around whatever build tool is already there.
Yeah, for this line of thinking, I would encourage, like, looking at the RFC I started writing. I think really debating what the best design is not even the hard part at all. It's that it's so hard to even change the generated code in Nixpkgs today. It's being generated in a gazillion bespoke ways that only each ecosystem's maintainer knows about. And no one's trying to be like thief dummy or obfuscate on purpose. It's just a very unsystematized process. If it was crystal clear how to like do a big sweeping refactor and change all the 2 Nix tools at once, and everything sort of had a polished process, we could just not even in meetings like this, just like propose PRs and iterate on things and get so much more cleanup done. Like and save, and basically the meetings then could be about the really high hanging fruit, because the low hanging fruit's just way easier.
Which RFC do you mean?
Yeah, I'm fetching, getting it. 109. I'll drop the link in the matrix.
Nixpkgs generate a code policy. I don't remember having looked at this one before, so yeah, I think that's good pointing it out. And it also, of course, ties into Dream to Nix, which is very much related to all the package tooling, kind of trying to find a uniform way.
Yeah, exactly. We have those steps we were talking about earlier, the resolution, dependency resolution, and fetching. We have separated that from the building and have this language agnostic log file in between. So we are always extracting data that can work in arbitrary ways, but the format we are storing the URLs and hashes and whatever, it's always the same. And then on the other side we have different builders for different ecosystems, but they all read from the same format.
Yeah, the real long-term play is that we get enough of a reputation doing lang to Nix things really well that we can get the upstream communities and Nix to sort of, they can change what the lock file looks like. We can change what fixed output derivations look like until it becomes easier and easier, because there isn't like we don't support that hash, or like submodules need a different hash, get things need a different hash. I think we can eventually get that really seamless. And then fetching will become easier again. But in the short term, fetching is really hard and annoying, as you have all these square peg, round hole problems. And we just have to make that really good, despite it being kind of miserable.
Yeah, sounds good. So, yeah, let's ideally take a look at the RFC there, and yeah.
So the thing which I'm not sure about RFC 109 is that it now actually imposes a restriction. I'm not 100% sure if that's the right way to go. Like, the thing we want to improve is our tools. So, but are we going to improve the tooling by imposing restrictions? We're just going to make it harder to write tools. So maybe I think the better way to go is just write better tools. I mean, there could be a guideline or something like this, but I think if we add restrictions and not allow certain tools, then we might end up with less automation in the end instead of more automation.
Yeah, that's a risk, but it's written that way sort of as a like bias of like what can be an RFC, but the tone I want is definitely let's make our tools better, and then let's hold ourselves to that standard going forward. I would never want to like just rip out tools because we like failed to improve them. That would be a very bad outcome. That I suppose is possible, but is not like that's like if it really failed to like upgrade all the tools to conform with the new like guidelines, then I would consider the RFC a failure.
So yeah, are there any like prototypes being done with the existing toolings to see whether they can be transformed, whether they can be made conformant?
I think some tools are. I think the Cabal and Nix stuff is mostly conformant. I've been doing a little bit with things with Crate to Nix. kind of seeing what the limitations are there. I think the functionality is there. It's just very like confusing how to use it, because crate to Nix has some like scope creep into what I would consider more like Niv territory. Yeah, it's I don't think it's like a matter of being technical feasible. It's just you have to get a little clever about trying to really separate the impure parts and the pure parts as much as possible. And that just may like, it doesn't take like new research or ingenuity. It just takes a little like craftiness if the tool wasn't originally written in that in mind.
I see. But yeah, I think that's probably better for you and David to discuss more clearly in the RFC and give feedback there.
Yeah, sure.
When is the next meeting going to be of this RFC?
I have to propose that now that they're like the shepherds have been officially approved, so I can do that.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So yeah, I'm also going to subscribe to that RFC. Oop, not logged into GitHub. All right. Yeah. Okay. So I think in the last couple minutes, if there is anything, what are we planning to do for the next week? So I'm just going to say, for me, I'm going to try to update the. We'll do the poll for seeing how many people use the GitHub navigation thing and how many people would be upset if they couldn't navigate to all the packages anymore. Also, I'm going to try to get Alyssa to make some performance benchmarks for like Git status or do them myself. And then with that information, update the RFC to trying to figure out which approach is the best to shard packages or to not do that. And then update the RFC with that information. Is there anybody else who has any plans for next week? All right. Well, I guess John is going to schedule a RFC meeting there. But yeah, I think that's everything then. Did I miss anything? Any other comments? All right, sounds good then. Let's conclude the meeting. Chris, you made some notes as well. I'm going to be interested if that actually worked well.
I'll let you know how that goes.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess then have a nice evening and see you next week and 2 hours earlier than this time.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.